Well, greetings and welcome back. This week we are in Romans chapter 15, and Paul is in this passage talking about the weak Christians and strong Christians. And we are not given a lot of detail about who the weak Christians are or who the strong Christians are. It's not like other passages where Paul deals with similar themes. In Galatians, we know that he is confronting Jewish Christians who want to impose Jewish traditional laws on Gentile Christians. In Corinthians, we know that he is dealing with a controversy between those who want to eat meat sacrificed to idols and those who do not. Chances are this is something similar. Since Paul has spent a lot of time in this letter talking about the difference between the Jews in the Roman Church and the Gentiles in the Roman Church, it's fairly safe to assume that whatever the controversy was, it fell somewhat along those lines. What seems to have been happening in Rome at the time that Paul wrote this letter was the Jews had been kicked out of Rome for a number of years. Nero had kicked them out because of some controversy around them, and so they had been recently brought back into Rome. They had been recently allowed back into the city itself. And during that time, the church, Christians had not been kicked out, just Jews. So the church had become wholeheartedly or universally Gentile. They had all been non-Jewish individuals. And they had gained a lot of power, prestige within the Christian community because there are no Jews there. So now the Jews have come back, and it's causing tension in some ways. Probably in ways similar to Corinth, where the tensions were about eating the meat that was sold in the meat markets. Now, you and I take it for granted that when we go to a meat market, we have just gotten a butchered animal. But in Rome, in the Roman Empire at the time, all animals, or almost all animals, at least outside of provinces like Judea, would have been sacrificed to pagan shrines. So to eat meat of pretty much any kind in Rome, you're eating an animal that had been sacrificed at a pagan shrine. So we see this in Corinth, where some of the Christians won't eat that meat. Some of the Christians will eat the meat as long as they're in their house or in a private dwelling. And we see Paul deal with that. It's somewhat safe to assume that this is a similar line that is happening in Rome, where the Jews won't eat meat or drink some wine because it has been offered at a shrine, or libation offerings, little token samples of wine or token pieces of meat have been offered at these shrines, and so they won't consume it. And this is a big deal. We sometimes downplay how significant this is, but for those who would not eat this meat, eating that meat was idolatry. It was idol worship, and that's kind of a significant, a significant sign that you have compromised some with Roman culture. And so this controversy is every bit as dramatic and meaningful as any that are going on in the church today. This was a very big deal, and it had the potential to split the church. It had the potential to wreak havoc on the church as the two sides kind of pushed for who was going to dominate in this discussion. Is it going to be the Roman, the Greek, Gentile faction that says it's okay as long as we're not actually participating in the idol worship at the temple? Or is it going to be the more conservative, traditional Jewish idea that no, any sign of participation with the pagan culture is an affront to God and is participating in the entirety of the pagan culture. That's the question. And Paul, in chapters 14 and 15, but especially here in 15, he really says to the people, that's not the question. The question is not whether or not you are going to win or lose this battle. The question is not who is going to come out on top. The question is whether or not you are going to welcome each other in fellowship. The question is whether or not you are going to still associate with each other. And he specifically looks at the strong Christians. And this is a group that he identifies himself with. First off, he identifies himself as one of the strong Christians, not one of the weak ones. So he is saying this for himself as well as those in the group. He's saying it's not about winning. You have the power. Not only that, your Christian convictions allow you more freedom. Therefore, you are stronger in your faith because you have more freedom. These individuals don't have that freedom because their faith does not allow them to cross this boundary. They don't have that freedom. Be sensitive to that in order to welcome them into the church. Listen to them. Give in to them because they are weaker, because they need more of these supports in order to follow Jesus. If you take away their supports, they will be unable to follow Jesus. So listen to them and let them win the day in order to welcome them into the church. Welcoming is, a sign of not just, hey, good to see you, or you have, you can take a seat here. It is giving you some power, some responsibility within a space. And that's kind of where my reflection is going to pick up this week, talking about all this. So if you want to see that, check the link that's attached to the video. But I hope that blesses you. I hope you get something from that. And until we meet again, God bless. And as always, if you have questions or comments, please let me know and I will try to deal with them. Thanks. Have a great day.